Well, hi guys, welcome, and who dat? I'm Joe. Thanks for tuning in to Rosenfield 10, where I cover our beloved Bless You Boys in black and gold, the New Orleans Saints. Are you a Who Dat fan? If you're a Who Dat fan, subscribe to my channel. I love the Saints as much as you do. And when you see one of my videos, you get to hear what I'm thinking. You let me know what you're thinking in the comments. I respond to my comments. And today we are going to do another mock draft for our Saints 2026 mock draft with trades, 7 rounds. And we're going to compare the results in this one to the results we had in the mock a couple of days ago with no trades, and we're going to see which one we're better off with. Of course, we're going to be better off with more picks, more swings at the plate means more chances to get it right. And this team has a lot of needs. So go back and check out the video a couple of days ago about the mock draft with no trades, 7 rounds. I wanted to see exactly how many positions of need that we wouldn't address. And now we're going to do one with trades. So trades meaning I'm going to trade down and possibly trade up. I know it's an awful thing for us Saints fans to have to think about. Sometimes stuff happens. So just bear with me and hope in the end everything is going to turn out all right. Yeah, you can tell I'm nervous. I'm sorry guys, but something happened and I'll explain it. So, let's pull up the draft picks for the Saints. This is the current state we are in. 8 draft picks. We have one first round pick, pick 8, one second round pick, pick 42, one third round pick, pick 73. We have two very late fourth round picks, pick 132 and pick 136. 132 is the projected pick we got from Seattle. So that pick could improve if Seattle gets eliminated from the playoffs early. And that second, fourth round pick is a potential comp pick for losing Paulson Adebo in free agency. That pick is slated right now to be estimated at 136. So we have two fifth round picks, our original fifth round pick, pick 148, and the fifth round pick we acquired from Seattle with the Shaheed trade as well. So that pick 170 right now, has a chance to improve if Seattle gets eliminated from the playoffs early. Yeah, so we're hoping for that. Our last pick is round 6, pick 190. So we're looking pretty good. Having 8 overall draft picks and making all those selections would be a decent class for the Saints. The problem is we picked so late in the fourth round. And yeah, there's some good talent there between the second round and the fifth round. There's some pretty good talent there, and yeah, it would be nice if we could make one move and at least pick up an extra third, maybe an extra fourth, maybe a combo, something. So we're going to see how everything turns out and let the draft begin. We're picking at 8. The first 7 teams make their selection, and Saints pick comes up at 8. I can tell you right now, a couple of the available players when we got on the clock. Safety Caleb Downs out of Ohio State was still on the board. Defensive end David Bailey out of Texas Tech, still on the board. Wide receiver Malachi Lemon, still on the board. We've got cornerback Mansour Delane out of LSU, Lemon out of USC. Delane out of LSU, he's still on the board. And Jeremiah Love, the running back from Notre Dame, is still on the board. So those are 5 players I value. And I did this mock last week, and I got an offer to trade down from 8 to 11. I had already made up my mind I wasn't going to trade down. I was going to make the selections as we had them. And what the Dolphins, what the Dolphins were offering me from pick 11 is they were going to give me a third round pick and a fourth round pick. I was going to move down 3 spots, pick up an extra third, an extra fourth. They were also willing to give me their fifth round pick if I gave them my sixth round pick. And then I was going to get a seventh round pick from the Dolphins on top of that. So move down 3 spots. You got a third, a fourth. You improve a sixth round pick to a fifth round pick. You pick up a seventh. Yeah, good move for the Saints. I thought that would be great. I was hoping that that would get offered this time. However, the Dolphins at pick 11 made an offer, but it was different. They didn't offer pick their third round pick and their fourth round pick and a pick swap in pick 7. They offered their second round pick in this year's draft plus 2 fourth round picks next year. And like I said, there's 5 players on the board I really like. If I stuck and picked right now, I would pick Jeremiah Love. Kansas City's picking right after us. Jeremiah Love is heavily mocked to the Chiefs. If I value Love that much, I better take him now. But I'm going to go ahead and take this trade, and that's the offer right there. The Dolphins are going to get my 8th overall pick. I'm going to get their 11th overall pick. I'm going to get their second round pick, pick 43 overall. And I'm going to pick up 2 fourth round picks in next year's draft. I go ahead and make the move. I have a feeling I'm going to lose out on Love, but I make the move anyway. So the deal is done. These are the new picks for the Saints. We have a second round pick now. So, and we've got 2 fourths next year. So, got some future picks that are going to be pretty awesome next year. Got an extra second. So, I'm feeling good about this. When pick 11 comes, whatever I have, whatever I choose, I can go ahead and focus. If I get the edge rusher with pick 11, I can certainly get a wide receiver with one of those second round picks and still be able to hit the board with another second round pick. That sounds pretty good to me. If I miss out on the edge rusher early, I'll get the wide receiver with pick 11, and then I'll focus on edge rusher and some other position in the second round. So I'm set up pretty good. Pick 11 comes, and I'll tell you how it all ended up. Miami moved up to pick 8 and drafted Avion Terrell, the cornerback out of Clemson. They left Mansour Delane on the board and Jermod McCoy. Okay, so the Chiefs drafted at pick 9 and they got Jeremiah Love. It was what I feared. And then with pick 10, the Bengals selected safety Caleb Downs. So my pick comes up at pick 11, and I have a choice between edge rusher David Bailey, wide receiver Makai Lemon, or cornerback Mansour Delane. It's really going to come down to either Bailey or Lemon. I value both of them right here very highly. So, with the 11th pick in the first round of the 2026 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select edge rusher David Bailey out of Texas Tech. Head pulled the trigger on the edge rusher. And I'm hoping in the second round there'll be a wide receiver there. There's about 6 of them that I covet right now, still on the board. So I went ahead and grabbed Bailey. Bailey is 6'3", 250 pounds. He's going to be an edge rusher, especially on passing downs, and we'll see if he can handle playing that outside linebacker edge rusher spot in Brandon Staley's defense. If he can handle that early downs, handle the run good, then maybe we have ourselves a potential starter opposite Chase Young. That's what we're expecting. But certainly a difference maker rushing the passer. I don't know if this move, getting Bailey, is going to make Carl Granderson expendable or not. And if Cam Jordan decides to retire, it helps out either way. And I'm pretty stoked. I've got 2 second round picks coming up, and I'm watching the boards carefully because I grabbed an edge rusher. So now I'm certainly targeting a wide receiver in the second round. And then something strange happens in the first round. Wide receivers start coming off the board pretty quickly. That was surprising. And I kind of panicked. Okay. So first, David or Denzel Boston was drafted, wide receiver, big guy. That team decided to go with the size instead of going with Mekhi Lemon. And then the next wide receiver taken was Casey Concepcion. I'm thinking, oh, I'm down to four guys now. The next guy taken in the first round, wide receiver Chris Bell. Now there's three receivers left that I'm targeting, and I panic. But I don't consider it a panic. I wanted to make sure to get a wide receiver, and it would just break my heart to see Elijah Surratt or Chris Brazzell or Brazzle get off the board at this point. I'm not going to use a second round pick on Zachariah Branch, but what's more surprising than any of that is Mekhi Lemon is still on the board. So I decided to make a move and trade back into the first round. I know it goes against everything us Saints fans want, and it plays right into Mickey Loomis's playbook. But I decided to make a move. I'm panicking. There's only three receivers left, and Pittsburgh's on the clock with pick 21. So I'm picking at 42. There's still going to be 21 players taken. I think my three wide receivers are going to be gone. So I'm making a move to get back in the first round. How much is that going to cost me? Well, I'm going to go ahead and give them my second round pick, pick 43, and I'm going to move up to 21. So Pittsburgh's falling from the first round 21 all the way to 43. That's a huge drop. It's a pick swap as far as I'm concerned. So I don't really look at it as trading away a second round pick. That second round pick became a first round pick. It's gonna cost me to move up. How much? It's gonna cost me our second round pick next year. Now that's a steep price. But to move down from 21 in the first round all the way to 43, yeah, I think it's justified. And I made it a little better for the Saints, so the pain isn't so bad. This is how the trade goes. I get Pittsburgh's first round pick, 21 overall. They get my second round pick, 43 overall. They get my second round pick next year. But to ease the blow, I'm going to get a fourth round pick and a sixth round pick from them this year. So I'm picking up two extra players, including a fourth round pick that's higher than any of the other fourth rounders I have right now. I know it seems like a steep cost, but just imagine the second round pick next year being the player that I'm moving up to get. So imagine that. It's costing us a second round pick either way you look at it. But we get two extra picks now with the fourth and the sixth. That's how the new draft picks look for the Saints. Gone are the two second rounders, but hey, we've got us two first rounders now. We drafted Bailey. We still get the second rounder, the third rounder, and now we've got three fourth rounders, two fifths, two sixes. And even though we traded away our second round pick next year, remember we got two extra fourth round picks. So we're still going to be making five picks in the first four rounds. I'm not too hurt about it, especially when, the guy I coveted at 11 is still on the board. So I made the choice of getting Bailey over Lemon, and with the 21st pick in the first round of the 2026 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select wide receiver Mekhi Lemon out of USC. He's 5'11", 195 pounds. So everybody who knows Lemon knows he is a playmaker with the ball in his hands. He's great at contested catches despite his size, and he provides something on our team that we don't have, that run after catch, playmaking ability with the ball in his hands. Chris Olave gets the ball, usually hits the ground, and I want him to because he's prone to concussions. Mekhi Lemon is going to do some dirty work, and he's got speed. He can beat you deep, but he can get open quick, and he has very sure hands. And I'm super excited about having Lemon still on the board at this point. It's not going to happen in real life, guys. Lemon's going to be gone. Like I said, I almost grabbed him with pick 11. But hey, we get our edge rusher, we get our wide receiver. We still have a second rounder and a third rounder. So let's get to the second round. At pick 42, I had a lot of options. And I'm going to let you know right now, if I would not have made the move, if I'd have stayed put, the wide receiver that was available was Jeremy Bernard, and he would have been a reach to take in round two. Everybody else that I coveted was gone. Chances are I would have drafted a player at 42, and with 43, I would have traded down. So I think I made the right move by going up and getting Lemon. And we'll see how the draft treats us next year with no second round pick. But with our second round pick this year, pick 42 overall in the 2026 NFL draft, the New Orleans Saints select offensive guard Emmanuel Pregnon out of Oregon. Yeah, like I said before, until we sign a free agent guard that's going to be a starter, I'm going to look at that as the biggest need for the Saints. Even if we sign a free agent guard, I still want another guy in the mix to compete with Cesar Ruiz. I'm not happy with Ruiz being our starting right guard. We get a free agent that can play right guard over Ruiz. Great. I still want to get a starter at left guard. We can re-sign Dylan Redunds. He'd be a good backup. And I'm going to be tempted in this way until free agency hits and we get that starting guard on the roster. Emmanuel Pregnon is 6'5", 315 pounds. He moves really well. He's pretty strong, and he's going to be a day one starter for this team on the offensive line. That's the only second round pick we had. I'm excited about it though. We get to the third round. We are slotted to pick at 73. I've already made a trade with Pittsburgh. They're going to just keep me on their call list because I get a phone call from them. They want to move up from pick 76 to my pick 73. So they want to move up 3 spots. And what are they offering me? They're offering me a fourth round pick and a seventh round pick. And I decide that I'll go ahead and make this move. Actually, I could have moved down further. The value of the players at that point in the draft, I thought it didn't match up all that well. So to move down 3 spots for me is nothing. They want to give me a fourth and a seventh, and I decide, well, I've got this fifth, and you got a fifth. Let me move up in the fifth round, and we'll make it a deal. And that's how the deal turns out. Pittsburgh is going to get my 73rd overall pick in the third round, and they're going to get my fifth round pick 170. I'm going to get their 76 overall. I'm going to get that fourth rounder and that seventh rounder. The fourth rounder is pick 135. And the move I made was to move up from pick 170 in the fifth round to their fifth round pick 159. So, and I get their seventh round pick 220. So that's how it all happens. We get a fourth round pick. We move up 11 spots with one of our fifth round picks, and we pick up another seventh or a seventh. So that's what the new picks look like. And right now we're sitting with 4 fourth round picks, albeit all of them pretty late. Not a bad gig. 4 fourth rounders, 2 fifth rounders, 2 sixth rounders, and that ever elusive seventh rounder. This works out great for me. Extra fourth round pick, move up a little in the fifth round. And the player I was targeting at 73 is still there with the 76th pick in the third round of the 2026 NFL Draft. The New Orleans Saints select Jadarian Price, running back out of Notre Dame. Well, I was bummed out about missing on the running back out of Notre Dame with the first round pick, but I still get a running back out of Notre Dame. And as a matter of fact, Love's backup, Jadarian Price, might be the second rated running back in the draft. There's only a couple of more that you could put up there with Price, and right now Price is clear cut number two in the draft overall. So to get the second best running back with a third round pick is pretty exciting for me. Jadarian Price is 5'11", 209 pounds. So he is right about Alvin Kamara's size. And he's a hell of a player. He had to play backup to Love, so that happened. He got limited touches, so we're not really sure what, a full season of production can be with Price. But in his limited touches, I think he had 113 carries. Man had 10 touchdowns, averaging almost a touchdown every 10 carries. And he had well over 600 yards. He was averaging 6 yards a carry. The running back is very good. And man, I feel good now about this. Getting the offensive lineman and the running back to go with the edge rusher and the wide receiver. I'm pretty stoked about it. And we've got 4 picks in the fourth round coming up, and that is sweet. I really wanted a defensive lineman, and I had a couple of guys targeted, and I was hoping that when pick 121 came for us, somebody was still on the board. I didn't want to move up anymore, and I didn't have to. With our first fourth round pick, pick 121 overall in the 2026 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select defensive tackle Daryl Jackson Jr. out of Florida State. Daryl Jackson Jr. has an overall ranking of about 100, 105. So to get him at pick 121 is pretty good value. I'm stoked he was still there. And he's a guy that I covet. Jackson is 6'5", 337 pounds. So he is a big dude. And I worry about a guy that tall sometimes having leverage and stuff. 337 pounds. This guy can come in and be our nose right away. He can learn 1 year behind Gottschall and then take it over. And we can get him on the field. We can put a 330-pounder at defensive end in certain downs. I like the pick. I so wanted to address defensive line for this team. We need some run stoppers. And getting a big boy like this, 337 pounds, geez. 6'5". I mean, he can block out the sun. So let's hope he can stop the run. All right, and then a couple of picks later, we've got 3 fourth rounders kind of back to back to back right here, and I take every single one of them. I don't move. With pick 132 in the fourth round of the 2026 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Eli Stowers, tight end out of Vanderbilt. I selected this player in the last mock that I did. He's a guy that I focus on if I don't get a big receiver early. I like having a big target for Shuck. We've got Juwan Johnson, we've got Devon Bailey, and we've got Chris Olave, and now we've got Makai Lemon, a couple of shorter guys. So Stowers was a valuable pick here. He was at the top of the boards when I grabbed him with pick 132. I think his overall ranking was about 110. So lucky that Stowers was still on the board, and I'm glad I grabbed him. We've got that big wide receiver threat at tight end with Stowers. And like I said, our team asked Juwan Johnson to inline block all the time. Stowers is about 4 pounds heavier than Johnson. I think maybe he might be a slightly better run blocker than Johnson. I still want a run blocking tight end. And keep in mind, all of our tight ends are free agents this year. We basically have Juwan Johnson and a restricted free agent deal with Mitchell Padden. So that's basically the only 2 tight ends we have. Now we've got Eli Stowers in the room. And 3 picks later, with pick 135 in the fourth round of the 2026 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Brian Parker II, offensive tackle out of Duke. Yeah, I'm keen on if we can pick up a bunch of picks, and we've got a bunch of them now, more than 8. I'm keen on grabbing some offensive linemen. I want to fix this line. I want some good depth. Awesome Richards and Sherman, you know, and then Fortner. A lot of them have played pretty good. Reduns, Fortner played all right. We can get better. Now, in an ideal world, we've got a starting free agent guard, and then we get Pregnon at guard, and we got ourselves a nice new set of guards. And then Brian Parker from Duke can come in and just play tackle and be our backup tackle, and everything's fine. But still going to want Parker to try his hand at guard, and he's going to be a backup, or he can be a starting guard, depending on what he can accomplish. But with a fourth round offensive tackle, I'm hoping he's a better third tackle option over Awesome Richards or Sherman. So, or at guard with Reduns or uh, uh, what's his name? The undrafted guy. So, yeah, let's hope Brian Parker the second can learn how to play guard and hold up in the league. He's 6'5", 300 pounds. He'd be a little light to play guard, but maybe we can bulk him up, feed him some seafood or something. And one pick later, we were back to back here with pick 136 in the fourth round. I had a dilemma. There were two linebackers I really wanted, and one of them is one of my most coveted players in the draft. One of them sitting on the board was Jacob Rodriguez out of Texas Tech. Rodriguez is an athlete. He is a playmaker. From his linebacker position at Texas Tech this past year, he had 7 forced fumbles and 4 interceptions, over 100 total tackles, and he was everywhere. If he didn't make the tackle for Texas Tech, he was right there. He was among the group. And he's also a special athlete. He can line up as a wildcat quarterback, played quarterback in college. He's run the ball from the quarterback position and scored a few touchdowns. He's also thrown a couple of passes. So Jacob Rodriguez would not only be a linebacker, he would also have, some special qualities. But putting Rodriguez in the Wildcat, kind of like we did with Taysom Hill, and taking the ball out of Tyler Shuck's hands is not the first thing that I want to do. I'm kind of fine with Hill retiring and us not messing around with stuff like that anymore. It's just a tip of the hat to Rodriguez of how talented he is. But I decided not to get him because I thought those secondary characteristics, as impressive as they are, were not as necessary as the secondary characteristics that this other linebacker could bring us. We pick 136 in the fourth round of the 2026 NFL Draft. The New Orleans Saints select linebacker Jay Barham out of Michigan. And if you guys know Barnum, if you know Barham, and yeah, you're probably thinking, what the hell am I doing? This guy, I believe it was a bowl game, could have been a championship game, one of those games. Very important game for Michigan. And this dude headbutted the referee and immediately got ejected from the game. I'm not the kind of guy that likes to take on head cases. Usually, if there's red flags like that, I avoid the player like the plague. I've said it before. But Jay Barham is going to have to learn how to get in this team with this culture, with some of our leaders. He's going to have to learn how to be a better citizen and a better player. And I'm not sure if he had any incidents before that. It's just, I almost used it as the thumbnail here, him headbutting the referee. But come on. The guy's a really good linebacker. He measures at 6'3", 243 pounds. And what he has as a secondary characteristic that I value more than what Rodriguez brought is he can rush the passer. And if we can get him to play linebacker and rush the passer, he's an edge rusher. He brings you kind of sort of what Arvell Reese would have brought you. A linebacker who could play in the middle, but he can also play linebacker, edge rusher, and get after the passer. I believe Barham only had 4 sacks this year, but Yeah, he was transitioning from linebacker to edge, and he's had a lot of time at both now, so I like it. I like the move. I hope he's not a basket head case, and I hope he brings some talent, but I do like the idea of multiple edge rushers here. Hey, Carl Grandison, trade Carl Grandison. Jordan can retire, and we've got Young, Bailey, and now Barham. All right. So a pretty productive fourth round. We get a defensive tackle, we get a big wide receiver tight end, and we get another offensive lineman that's going to be in the mix, and we get a linebacker who can moonlight as a edge rusher. So nice fourth round for the Saints. That's what I'm talking about. You're picking up extra uh, third or fourth round picks is the way to go for me. And having those two extra fourth rounders makes me feel pretty good. We've got an extra fifth rounder too, and the fifth round is where we're at now. With pick 48 in the fifth round of the 2026 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Dalen Everett, cornerback out of Georgia. Now, Dalen Everett is not high on my list of wants, but he's a fourth round projection on most boards. I picture he can play nickel in the league. I don't know if he's going to hold up on the outside or not. Everett is 6'1", 190 pounds, so he's got decent height. He's a pretty good athlete, and playing for Georgia, he played in man and zone. So this mixed match we do, I think he'll fit. If he can stick at nickel, pretty good move. And grabbing him in the fifth round, that's the reason why I went ahead and pulled the trigger. He's a fourth round projection, so we got some value here. Not to mention, I haven't addressed the cornerback or safety room yet. So Dalen Everett out of Georgia, fine pick for me, value, and we'll see if he can break onto this team at cornerback. My next fifth round pick is slotted to be 159. And I get a phone call from Baltimore. They're picking at 160. So they're picking right after us. And they want that pick from us pretty bad. And pretty bad because they're offering us a fifth round pick to do it. Pick 172, which is only 12 picks away. Now, who is it that Baltimore wants that they're willing to move up one spot and give up a fifth rounder for? Well, ironically, it's a guy that I've drafted for the Saints before. Had no intention of grabbing him this time. I go ahead and take the deal, pick up the extra fifth round pick from Baltimore. And Baltimore moved up to grab edge rusher Malachi Lawrence out of Central Florida. I grabbed him in that last mock I did because he was such a good value in the fifth round. Such a good value for Baltimore that they're willing to give two fifth rounders to get him. So I'm stoked. I wasn't going to draft him anyway. I moved down one spot. And with pick 160, I'm excited because there's a guy here who I very close, very closely, almost drafted him in the fourth round. But I get him here with pick 160 in the fifth round of the 2026 NFL Draft. The New Orleans Saints select tight end Jack Indries out of Texas. I almost drafted Jack Indries with pick 132 when I got Eli Stowers. I think that Jack Indries, though he's not 250 pounds, he's only 240. Stowers is 235, Indries is 240. Both of these guys are on the light side for tight ends, but I think Jack Indries has a chance to develop into a better run blocker overall. That's why I was tempted to grab him in the fourth round because I thought he brought a little more run blocking ability. Stowers is a stud receiver, and Jack Indries is a very good receiver too, but he's a slightly better run blocker. So I went ahead and grabbed the big wide receiver with Stowers, and yeah, I'm not going to pass up Jack Indries here. 6'4", 240 pounds. Like I said, our tight end room is barren now, so we've got Stowers and Indries to add into the mix. And I'm pretty excited about this. He's not, Jack is not going to be, our run blocking tight end, but he can develop into a more complete tight end than perhaps Stowers or, that Jawan Johnson has ever developed into. So I'm excited. And we've got one more pick in the fifth round with pick 172 in the fifth round of the 2026 NFL Draft. The New Orleans Saints select center Sheridan Wilson out of Texas Tech. I do like the centers in this draft this year. Almost every single prognosticator online that you will find will tell you that the centers in this class are not very good. And I feel differently about it. So differently. I've never heard anybody say that it's decent. They all have, if they've made an effort to comment on the centers at all, it was to say that it's not a very good class. And this is where I differ from them. I don't see Pro Bowlers, potential Pro Bowlers left and right everywhere, but I see potential. So maybe I'm a little higher on them than everybody else. I know I am. But I was certain if I was going to pick up extra picks, offensive line was going to be a target of mine, and getting Sheridan Wilson out of Texas Tech is exciting for me. The same size as offensive tackle Parker, who we took earlier. 5 foot or 6 foot 5, 300 pounds. Hey, I like the idea of bringing a guy in here to learn under McCoy and to be a center. And, a couple of years from now, when McCoy is gone, take over the reins. Sounds good to me. Luke Fortner's been a guy that's shown quite a bit. And now, even though Fortner's pretty young, he's got a lot of starts under his belt. And I'm assuming as a free agent, he's going to get some money offered from someone else. So do we pay Fortner whatever he's going to be demanding? He's not going to break anybody's bank. But I'm willing to bet Fortner's going to have some offers. I bet there's some teams out there without a starting center like Eric McCoy, like we have, that would be willing to overpay a little for Fortner. So that may happen. That may not happen. We may be the team that overpays him a little bit to keep him, to be our backup. Well, now we've got a backup center and Wilson coming in here that's going to be cheap, and hopefully he can make the team. And at 300 pounds, I don't know what's the likelihood of him learning guard too. Maybe we got to get Parker and Wilson, eating that gumbo late at night or something. So, all right, fifth round is over. We've got two six-round picks. Pick 189 and pick 214. With pick 189 in the sixth round of the 2026 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select edge rusher Mikhail Kamara out of Indiana. Kamara is an interesting guy. I'm pretty high on him, though nobody else really is. He's supposed to be a late day 3 guy. He is 6'1", 265 pounds. So 265 is pretty good for an edge presence, but he's short, 6'1". Probably doesn't have the longest arms. People worried about how he was going to translate into the league. And he's not blowing everybody away with the stats he had in college. But Indiana keeps winning ball games. And Indiana keeps, it's like a murderer's row over here. They're just mowing down everybody they're playing in the playoffs. And now they're playing for the national championship against Miami. And guess what? Kamara's made his presence felt throughout the entire postseason, and that got me excited. I was iffy on taking a chance on him before, but this kind of production, when the stakes are high against the competition he's facing, it's got me excited. So, Mikhail Kamara is on the team. Interesting, we have a Kamara, and maybe we'll continue to have a Kamara. Speaking of Indiana in the national championship game, with pick 214 in the sixth round of the 2026 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Amari Farrell, safety out of Indiana. So, two Hoosiers back to back, both of them in the sixth round. And yeah, they're Farrell's a safety, so I hadn't addressed safety. So I'm glad to get the guy. His his ranking on this site was about 106, 175, 176, somewhere around there. So to get him at 214, I'm stoked. Kamara was ranked about the same as Farrell, or Farrell. So getting Kamara at 189, getting Farrell at 214, sweet moves for the Saints. And with our last pick, pick 224 in the seventh round of the 2026 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select tight end Marlon Klein out of Michigan. A third tight end, you say? Yes, I say. I like Maliki Matavao, and we'll see if that turns out to be anything, but he's going to have another seventh round tight end to compete with for that fourth tight end spot. Yeah, I'm expecting Juwan Johnson and Eli Stowers and Jack Injuries to make this team. And our fourth tight end is either going to be Mitchell Payton, or it's going to be Maliki Mataval, or it's going to be the guy we just got in Marlon Klein, who has played a lot of football as a backup at Michigan, while other players, like Colston Loveland or whoever else they had, was doing great. So what I like about Klein is he is NFL size, 6'6", 250 pounds. I think he can develop into a decent wide receiver, and I think he's got a lot of good tape this year as a run blocker. So I'm excited about that. Klein has the ability here to progress and fit as an inline blocker, down in and down out, and that excites me. So yeah, I got Stowers, who was a receiver. I got Injuries, who has the ability to be a receiver and a run blocker, but not a dominant run blocker, but probably better than Stowers. And now I've got Marlon Klein, who I feel like is going to be a dominant run blocker. And let's try to develop the receiving. And we're going to put some heat under Matavao. So, by the way, safety Farrell is 6'2", 200 pounds. I didn't mention that before. Great size for a safety. And that concludes this draft. And let's pull up the big board and look at it. There you go, guys. 14 picks instead of 8. We get 2 first rounders, a second rounder, a third rounder, 4 fourth rounders, 3 fifth rounders, 2 sixth rounders, and a seventh rounder. We're missing our second round pick next year, but we've acquired 2 additional fourth round picks. And I'm pretty excited about it because that first round we got 2 studs. I couldn't make up my mind between David Bailey or Makai Lemon, and in the end I didn't have to because I was able to trade back in and get Lemon. David Bailey's going to be opposite Chase Young. Hopefully he's our starter. But as long as we have Cam Jordan and Carl Granderson on the team, I like those guys against the run. So, Bailey can ease into that starting role. He can learn from Cam. He can come in on pass rush situations and have a year or two to develop, even though he's our first round pick at pick 11. Yeah. And if he's so good that we can't keep him off the field, then Cam Jordan's our primary backup. We trade Carl Granderson and we're good to go. But I like getting Bailey. I love that. David Bailey and Chase Young chasing after the quarterback. Sounds good to me. And I did not want to miss out on getting a great wide receiver, so traded back into the first round to grab Makai Lemon. He's my second favorite receiver in the draft. I value Lemon higher than I value Jordan Tyson. Jordan Tyson's injury history worries me. So Tyson would still be a guy I would take in the first round, but I would take definitely Tate and Lemon before Tyson. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. We're missing that second round pick next year, but we've got a couple of really good first rounders this year. In the second round, we got the guard Pregnon out of Oregon. I've always liked Pregnon. I like Oregon center too. But Pregnon's going to be a guy that can do it all. He's strong enough and big enough at 315 pounds to be an effective, man blocker, gap scheme, whatever. He can also get doing the outside zone. He's really good at it. And so we can do it all with Pregnon. He's going to start. He's going to be an upgrade on the offensive line, which is exactly what the quarterback needs. And it's exactly what the running back would need. And who's going to be our running back? Well, Alvin Kamara can play one more year with us or go, drink cocktails on the beach or whatever. And we're going to have Jadarian Price out of Notre Dame waiting in the wings. I expect Price to be our starter. I like the idea of Kendre Miller being healthy and being a backup, but he can't stay healthy. So Devin Neal and Audric Estime can be our number two and our number three behind Price. And if we keep Kamara for one more year, that's great. You can have Kamara and Price and Neal and Estime. I like Audric Estime, so and I really like Neal. Fourth round, we stocked up here with Daryl Jackson Jr. at 337 pounds, blocking out the sun and making a dent on our defensive line. Outside of a couple of edge rushers, I didn't focus on defensive line after grabbing Jackson. It's a pretty nice piece. I'm hoping we re-sign Jonathan Bullard and Nathan Shepard and keep them in the mix along with Brian Bresee and Davin Godchaw and Christian Boyd, and hopefully our success at times against the run this past year will continue next year. And I think getting Vernon Broughton back from injury is going to help there, as well as Daryl Jackson Jr. Eli Stowers being that receiving tight end. We've got Juwan Johnson, but we've got Stowers now too, and we've got size at tight end and receivers, and that's fine. Still want a run blocker. That's why I addressed it two more times in this draft. But I like getting Stowers, especially since Lemon at wide receivers for only 5'11". Chris Olave is 6 foot. So you get 6'4" Stowers to come in with 6'4" Juwan Johnson and 6'5" Devon Vele. And yeah, we've got some big receiving targets now. Brian Parker Jr. at tackle. Can he cross train and learn guard? It would be nice to be our primary backup tackle and be able to play guard. That would be sweet. Parker would be a more valuable piece that way. Maybe he can be so good at guard that he can get a starting spot. Who knows? He's not going to start at tackle, not ahead of Fuanga and Banks, but primary backup tackle Parker out of Duke. I'm excited about that. It's something we need to improve on. And then the last fourth round pick, Jay Sean Barham. I hope he's not crazy. I hope he doesn't commit any crimes. I hope he's a good teammate. And I hope that the potential I see here comes to fruition. Playing linebacker and rushing off the edge. If something happens where we're, struggling with Bailey or if there's an injury, I like having our bases covered with Barham here as an edge rusher, and yeah, pretty good. Yeah. Matter of fact, Bailey and Barham rushing the passer at the same time would be pretty tight. And that would be something we could watch in preseason. Oh, yeah, I think we get excited about it. And if Barham wants to stay at linebacker and play in the middle, then it makes Pete Werner expendable. Davis can retire, and we'll have Stutzman and Barham out there to go along with whatever else we keep. Jalen Ford is really good, and Isaiah Stallbird is really good. So you get Barham out there on first and second down, put him as an edge rusher on third down, put in Stallbird as your third down linebacker. I love it. I love it. The fifth round, Dalen Everett. The only thing I didn't address in this draft you know, at the height I wanted to was cornerback, where I'm hoping that our guys develop. This would be a case where Alante Taylor stays on the team and Dalen Everett can come in and find a place in this defense. Jack Injuries at tight end is going to be a complete tight end. Hopefully he can develop, and whichever one, Stowers or injuries, whichever one wants to be a better run blocker, will have a better chance at seeing the field more. And that third, fifth round pick, Sheridan Wilson at center. I want a center. Wilson has been shooting up the boards. I think on PFF's simulator, I think he's actually a third round projection. So I get him in the fifth round here. Two six-round picks, both of them Indiana Hoosiers playing in the national championship, and Kamara and Farrell, edge rusher and safety. And in that last pick, Marlon Klein, I'm hoping he shows us more than Malike Mataval did. But I think Klein can do some real good dirty work in run blocking. Go back and watch Michigan, focus on Klein. You know, he's the kind of guy that they'll ask to take on a defensive end. You know, I mean, no tight end's supposed to be that good. So, man, but Klein's got a lot of runs. So, there you go. That's the draft. Let me know how badly I screwed up, especially trading away that second round pick next year. I know it's one of them things, but man, Makai Lemon is a guy that I value. I value him as a top 12 player, actually a top 10 player. So to trade back in to the first round and get him, I'm okay with it. Not to mention the extra fourth round picks we picked up for next year's draft. So, and yeah, if I was the GM, there'd be plenty more moves to be made. Maybe I would, you know, package a couple of players and get a second round pick next year. Maybe we trade down from the first round next year and pick up extra picks. I don't know. We'll see. But you guys let me know in the comments how you feel. And I'm going to pull up my last mock with no trades. And I'm going to pull up the one we just did. And there you go. Which one would you rather have? 8 picks or 14 picks? Pause the video and ponder if you want. But subscribe to this channel. I'll be covering the draft as it concerns the New Orleans Saints for the next several months. We're going to keep a close eye on the pro days and the scouting combines, and of course the draft. And I cover the Saints all year long during the season too. So subscribe. Be my Who Dat friend. Who Dat? Who are you? Who Dat? I'm Joe. And until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Who Dat?